Save money. Okay, what does that mean? Save $5, save $500, save $1,000, save $1 million. What does it mean to save money? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, you guys, we're gonna put the glasses on. Let me tell you, class is in session. Today, we are going to be going all the way back to basics, talking about how to save money with a focus on absolute beginners. In today's video, I am going to give you all of the tips, practical advice so that you can walk away from this video feeling more confident and feeling like you actually know what to do so you can start saving money. Before we get into the video, you guys, let me know in the comments, how much money would you like to have saved up in the next 3 months? Let's set a little goal. That way we can encourage each other, and you can even check back in 3 months and see if you achieved your goal. I really think writing our goals down and putting them out there is super, super helpful and also super encouraging. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Also, if you have any tips that help you save money, let me know in the comments so we can all learn from each other. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Zoe. I'm 29 years old and I live in Montreal. I have been sharing my personal finance journey as well as my tips, my mistakes, and lessons learned along the way for the past 5 years on YouTube, you guys. You can literally go back on my channel and see my entire evolution from being a girl who spent way too much money, was in $40,000 of debt, did not know how to budget, did not know how to control my spending, did not know how to save money, to now being someone who has paid off all of her debt and has a net worth of almost $100,000. I am not saying that to brag. I am saying that to let you know that it is absolutely possible for you to do the same. And in today's video, we're gonna go right back to the beginning because really it all starts with saving money. If you are new, make sure that you are subscribed so you never miss another video from me. I post a mix of personal finance as well as lifestyle videos. I'm just a girl, I like nice things. And so all of my advice comes from a place of practicality and also comes from a place of liking nice things. So I like to think that my advice is realistic and it's really tailored for people like me who are just regular people wanting to both live life and enjoy their life in the present moment, but also save and invest for the future. The last self-promo-y thing that I will say is that here on my channel, we are on a mission to live our healthy and wealthy best lives. It's really just in case you're new to start getting familiar with the lingo. So these are my healthy and wealthy savings tips. We have a Rich Bish matcha. I love matcha so much. I love making it at home because it helps me save money. And whenever I make a personal finance video, I love to make a matcha and tell you guys to have a little sip. It's just good luck, and the Rich Bish matcha is going to help you bring more money into your life. So with all that being said, let's get into my tips. You guys can see I've got my big notebook right here. I have written down all of my best tips, once again, going right back to basics, and we're gonna dive in to all of them. Okay, I'm actually gonna take these glasses off because they're a little bit distracting. They're blue light glasses, so they don't really help me with anything. When I wrote down these tips, I tried to think of who exactly was I speaking to, and I think the answer was me about 6 years ago. That being said, even if you're not an absolute beginner, even if you have some money saved up, it can always be helpful to go back to basics, reflect on the simple steps, because sometimes the farther along we get in our money journey, the more we make things complicated and we actually forget about the basics. So written down, I have 8 tips for you. We're gonna go through each one. Like I said, they are all very practical and action-oriented. I'm also gonna give you guys some personal stories for each of these tips, how I did or did not implement them into my life, just so that I can help you paint a bigger picture, because I always think with financial advice, it's so much better when it comes from a real person and you can see how this practically applies to your life. It's one thing to watch a 30-second TikTok where the person tells you to stop buying matcha and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it's so much better when you feel like the advice is coming from someone who understands you and cares about you. And I know you're like, girl, you're sitting here talking to a camera, but I genuinely do care about you. If you're watching this video, I want you to have financial success. I want you to have financial confidence. I've seen the effects that all of those things have had on my life. I genuinely am a happier person, not because I'm rich, not because I drive a fancy car, but because I understand my finances, I take care of them, and to me, that is a huge act of self-care. All of that intro being said, let's get into the tips. So I said we're starting at the beginning, and we really are. Tip number 1 is that you need to make money. If you do not have income, you do not have much to save with. If you don't have a steady source of income, I'm picturing like a teenager living at home with their parents. Maybe your parents give you an allowance, maybe you get money on birthdays or Christmas. And this could be a great place to start saving. I know when you're really young, and especially if you don't have expenses like rent or a mortgage or a car, you might think to yourself, well, what would I even be saving for? But in case someone in that situation is watching this video, I want you to know it is never a bad idea to get started. And especially in that situation, you can start saving for things rather than just saving for the big, scary future. I remember being a teenager and wanting to have money so badly. My parents gave me like a little bit of money to, I don't know, like buy snacks after school. My parents would take me shopping from time to time, but I didn't grow up in a family with tons of money. So I wanted money of my own. I remember before I was like legally aged to work, looking up online, like online jobs for teenagers, ways for teenagers to make money. And a lot of those things I think are scams. That being said, as soon as I turned 15 and as soon as I was legally allowed to work, I got a job. I got my first job. Yeah, the summer I turned 15, I was working in an ice cream store, and this is where I was able to start saving money. When I was 15, I saved up and bought a Michael Kors purse, and I also bought myself a MacBook laptop, which is pretty cool. And then as I got older and knew I wanted to move out for university, I started a little university savings fund. I'm getting ahead of myself. Step one is to make money. If you are a college or university student, I think it's an amazing thing to have a part-time job. Not only will this help you make friends, help you make an income while you're in school, this is also really going to give you a leg up when you graduate from university or college and you start looking for a full-time job. Already having previous work experience is going to give you a huge leg up among your fellow students. And if you're not a student, you're like, Zoe, why are you taking us all the way back to being 15 years old? But I just think it's important. We hear so much about save, 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 invest, and you need money in order to do those things. On that note, if you do have a job, I want you to start looking at how much money you make every single month. Getting this visibility is very important. I would love to know how many of us out there have a job, whether it's part-time or full-time, and you actually don't know how much money goes into your bank account every single month or every single week. A lot of us will know our hourly wage or will know our annual salary, but we don't actually have visibility on what is going into our bank accounts. Without that visibility, how will you know how much room you have in your budget to spend and then to save? You simply won't know. So step one is to make money, and step 1.1 is to start looking to the cent, you guys, how much money is coming into your bank account every single month. Just a quick side note is that I like to work on a monthly basis for my budgeting. This is the cycle that most rent and bills work on. So for me, it's just the easiest cycle, and it's the one that I would recommend if you're getting started. Step number 2, you guys, another very practical step, but very important. You need to have a savings account. I personally have, I can't even count. I have so many savings accounts because I'm a freak. But let's just get you started with one. When I was about 20 years old, I actually had a job as a bank teller. I worked at TD Canada Trust, and I worked in the branch. Anyways, that is another story. But one thing that I learned when working at the bank is how few people have a savings account. A lot of our clients would come in, and these are like grown-up adult clients with real jobs, full-time jobs, and they would come in with a checking account. And they would have all their money in a checking account. Maybe they'd have a credit card too, but one account. You guys, you need to have a savings account, okay? Yes, in time, as you grow your savings, as you get organized, you may find it helpful to have multiple savings accounts. What I mean by that is, in my personal case, I have a savings account for my dog. I have a savings account for my car. I have a savings account for my wedding that's coming up. I have an emergency fund. I have a lot of different savings accounts. And if that feels overwhelming to you, just pause. I want you to open one savings account. There are many reasons for this. The primary reason why you want to have a separate savings account is to allow you to earn interest on your savings. Interest is money that the bank gives you kind of as a reward for keeping your money in the bank. Now, there's a whole backstory as to what interest is and where it comes from and why the bank actually gives you interest. They're not actually trying to reward you, spoiler alert. they're using your money, but we won't go down that rabbit hole in this video. Just know that when you open a savings account, your bank will give you a predetermined interest rate, allowing you to earn a little bit of extra money on the money that you keep in your savings account. So that is great. We love interest. Truthfully, you guys, the interest that you're gonna earn in a regular savings account, let's use TD as an example, it's gonna be very minimal and it's not gonna change your life. The interest that can change your life comes from investing. But in my opinion, investing comes once you've started to, I don't wanna say master savings, but once you've gotten comfortable with saving, that's when we wanna move on to investing. Okay, so we're gonna park investing for now. Being able to accumulate interest is reason number one why you want a separate savings account. Reason number two is purely because it helps you stay organized. If all of your money is in one single account, first of all, in my opinion, it's way too tempting to spend it. If I look at my checking account and I see that there's $3,000 just sitting there, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna open a beautiful computer tab and I'm gonna shop for something. Or I'm gonna head to the mall, I'm gonna go to Sephora, I'm gonna go to I'm gonna spend that money. I'm gonna spend it. Having your money separated, and especially when you have a dedicated savings account that kind of says, don't touch this, don't touch this. Or this says, this is for something specific. This is my savings account for my trip. I'm not touching it until it's time to book the airfare or the hotel. This is my emergency fund. I'm not supposed to touch it unless I really, really need the money. And really, really need the money is not for a trip to Lululemon. So to stay organized, to have visibility, you also want to be able to watch your money grow, right? And know, okay, this is my dedicated savings account. It started at 0, then it went up to 100, then it went up to 500, then 1,000. You're going to feel so proud of yourself. We're going to talk about those numbers in a minute. But that is reason number two why I want you to have a dedicated savings account. Once you have one and you start to watch it grow, you will see that it is pretty addicting. And you may want to open multiple in order to save for different things, but that will come in time. So another practical note on savings accounts is I do want you to shop around a little bit. Most of us, we will just open a savings account with the bank that we're already with. Maybe it's the bank that our parents signed us up for. And typically these banks will have some of the worst interest rates. I do my personal banking with RBC. I do have savings accounts with RBC, but the interest rate is like 0.01, like I'm earning 5 cents a month. Thank you so much. So generous, RBC. Where I like to keep the bulk of my savings, so where I keep my $10,000 emergency fund, where I keep my wedding fund is with Wealthsimple. Wealthsimple is currently only available for Canadians. If you are a Canadian watching this and you're like, all right, sign me up, I want a savings account, I highly recommend Wealthsimple. The interest rate is a little bit higher than the banks. It also fluctuates. So Wealthsimple will always give you the highest interest rate that they can, given what the Bank of Canada interest rate is and all of that. I really, really like Wealthsimple. Everything happens from an app on your phone. So it's really like user friendly. If you're a more digital person and you like doing stuff on your phone, you'll love the Wealthsimple app. It's really simple. I think my code will get you $25 when you open an account and put like $1 single in. So be sure to use my code if you sign up for Wealthsimple. If you do not live in Canada, there is definitely like a Wealthsimple equivalent for your country. Wherever you are in the world, I'm so sorry, I don't know all of the international banking options. I would recommend looking it up like on Google or even asking ChatGPT like what's the best high interest savings account for your area. Let's take a sip of matcha. Step number 3 is where we're gonna get into a little bit of tough love, okay? You need to stop buying things you don't need. In order to save money, you need to make money. You need to have somewhere to put it, ideally. And then you need to stop spending your hard-earned money on things you don't need so that you can have money left over to put into your savings. This is a hard lesson to learn for some people, and this was a very hard lesson to learn for me. I've never been one to deprive myself. I love things. I love getting my nails done. I love shopping. I love clothing. I love stupid pumpkin scented candles. I love nice things, okay? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know where it comes from. The disease of consumerism has plagued me, and it has for years. Anyway, we could talk about this for literally hours, but it really comes down to stop spending money on things you don't need. And stop spending money on things you can't afford. We all have different financial situations. We all come from different financial backgrounds. When I was in university, I've told this story before. When I was in university, I was on student loans, okay? Like I told you guys, I didn't grow up with a ton of money. I did not grow up getting designer handbags as gifts from my parents or like, anyway, unfathomable for me. So when I got to university, I was like pretty broke, okay? And I was definitely stressed about the fact that I had student loans. At the same time, I desperately wanted to fit in with my peers. I had moved cities, I was in Montreal. Montreal is known to be a very stylish and like fashionable, trendy city. And I wanted to get along and I wanted to look like and I wanted to fit in with the girls in my class. The girls in my class were coming to school with their Louis Vuitton tote bags, throwing it on the floor and going on their phone for the entirety of class. You guys, I wanted a Louis Vuitton tote bag so badly. If I had made enough money at my part-time job selling clothes at Simon's, I would have bought myself a Louis Vuitton bag. Honestly, my student loans kept me in check, and I wasn't even completely in check because your girl was going once a week to Forever 21 to go buy whatever $10 top she could. This was my way of trying to fit in. I wanted a big wardrobe. I wanted to be pretty. I wanted boys to look at me and think that I was good looking, and I wanted girls to look at me and think that I was trendy and cool. And I wasted so much money trying to do that and trying to keep up. People would tell me, family members would tell me, Zoe, you need to stop. And I was like, no, I need this stuff. Like I need it. To me, these things were not wants, they were needs. And it was just because I don't think I fully understood the value of a dollar. I also had a really unhealthy relationship with money where as soon as I received it, I almost felt this burning itch to spend it. My second year of university, I was living in an apartment, I was paying rent, and I was using my paychecks from my part-time job to pay my rent. Once my rent was paid, everything left in my account was fair game and I would spend it. I would absolutely just spend it. The concept of saving money, it really just I didn't understand it. Another thing, and I just need you guys to understand this to really paint a picture of how far I've come, is when I was 18, 19, 20, all the way up until literally 6 months ago, I was obsessed with doing my nails. And I found, this was the beginning of the Instagram era. I found like a local Montreal influencer who got her nails done at this really trendy and really expensive salon. So I decided to get my nails done at this trendy and expensive salon. I remember telling my mom about it and she was like, what is wrong with you? But I couldn't be stopped. Every single month I was going and getting, at the time, it was like a $50 manicure. Adjust for inflation, these manicures probably would have been $90 like now. I was getting little decals, I was getting, art drawn, and it made me so happy and I loved having my nails done. But looking back at how actually broke I was, I can't believe I was willing to spend so much on a manicure. I'm telling you guys this story because once you start to understand the value of a dollar, I don't pay for those manicures now, and at the time I was making $12 an hour. I make pretty good money now. I live well, and I refuse to spend my money on manicures like that. Not because I have a stick up my butt, but just because I know that my financial goals are more important than what my nails look like, and that there are ways to make your nails look good and make your outfits look good for a cheaper price. So that's my rambles. You need to stop buying things you don't need. This is gonna come from seriously looking inwards and having a reality check with yourself. I know how hard it is to want to keep up with your peers, especially I think in an academic setting, or maybe you're in a workplace setting where the girls come to your office and they look fantastic and they're always dressed to the nines. I know how hard it can be. There's so many ways to express yourself and treat yourself while still remaining on a budget, shopping sales, thrifting. Thank God thrifting is trendy now. When I was in university, it wasn't. For example, on the nail front, I just learned a little bit about nail health. I let my nails grow out and flush out how weak they were from getting manicures all the time. I saved so much time and I saved so much money just having natural nails, and I think they look pretty good. Oh my gosh, okay, I looked at my matcha and this reminded me, coffee's out. This is like the great debate of our generation. Are we wasting money on coffee out, or is it something that brings us joy? It can be both, okay? It can absolutely be both. My recommendation for stuff like this is try and limit it to once or twice a week. You do not need to go every day. I know it's fun, like if you're in university and you want to show up to class with like your iced matcha and the ice is making that sound, trust me, I know, I love it. But maybe you can limit that to once a week, okay? Maybe the class you hate the most, or if you're a working person, maybe the day of the week that you hate the most, that's your day to roll in with your iced coffee. Can you find a recipe that you love and make it at home, whether it's a matcha or a coffee? Get yourself a cute to-go cup. I'm a huge fan of the Nespresso one. I'll put a picture on the screen. It's not gonna make you a millionaire, but it will help you save money. Then you can look, okay, I used to spend $50 a month on coffee. I'm not doing that anymore. 50 bucks a month, boom, into my savings account. 50 bucks a month on nails, boom, into my savings account. Once you start to grow your savings, I promise you, it will become addicting and you will not miss those little things that you're depriving yourself of. And you're not actually depriving yourself, okay? You're just consuming in moderation. You're keeping your disease of overconsumption under control. That's what I try to do. Whew, okay, you guys, I'm talking so much because I am so passionate about this topic, but here's another one. I want you to set a savings goal. So now let's start to talk numbers. Save money. Okay, what does that mean? Save $5, save $500, save $1,000, save $1 million. What does it mean to save money? This is going to depend on each of us individually. It's going to depend on a few factors. First of all, how much money do we make? If you make $5 a month, you're not gonna save $10 a month. It's going to depend a lot on your monthly expenses. So maybe you live with your parents and you don't have to pay rent. Maybe you live with your parents and you pay a very minimal rent of like $100 a month or something. Maybe you live by yourself and you have rent or a mortgage payment. Maybe you have children or pets that are dependent on you and cost a lot of money. You need to take a look at all of these things, income versus expenses, in order to determine how much you have left over to save every single month. That being said, I also want you to leave room in your budget for little treat yourself moments and nice things. I'm a personal finance content creator and I do not think it's realistic to not buy anything. I would never tell you guys to do that. Ever. Just to paint the picture, I'm wearing dumb polka dot pants. Did I need these? No. Do I love them? Yes. I have an Aura ring, okay? Like I have these dumb things that I spend money on every single month. So once you've looked at your income versus your expenses, once you've left a little bit of room for treating yourself, I want you to set a goal of how much money you have to save every single month. I want your goal to be challenging yet attainable. That means that it shouldn't be easy, okay? Don't set the goal of $5 a month unless that's gonna be really challenging for you. Don't set the goal of $500 a month if you know that's gonna be too hard. I think a sweet spot to start at is like $100 a month. Start with 100, see how that goes for a month or two, then you go up to 150, 200, 250. It's all gonna depend, really it's all gonna depend on your income versus your expenses. We're all working with different numbers here. So I want you to set a monthly savings goal. I want you to keep track of this monthly savings goal. Write it down somewhere. Check off every single month. Did you hit it? Yes. Green check mark. Did you miss it? No. That's okay. How much did you do? How close did you get? Believe it or not, you're gonna learn more from your mistakes than from times that you just easily hit that goal. And if hitting that goal every single month is easy, it means it's not high enough. So that's a monthly savings goal. I also want you to set a numbered savings goal. If you are watching this video and you currently have $0 in savings, I want you to start with $500. That's a lot of money. You can do a lot with $500. Maybe you think that's too easy, you wanna do $1,000. I would say start anywhere from $250 to $1,000, okay? I want you to write it down. I then want you to break that goal down, okay? It is so easy to sit there and say, I wanna save $10,000. Okay, when do you wanna save it by? In 6 months. Do the quick maths and you will see it's more money than you think. Having a big overarching goal is so important, but you need to work that goal backwards and divide it up into monthly or every 2 months. Make sure that number is realistic and aligns once again with your income versus your expenses. So I've given you 2 options. If you just want to start with the monthly goal, great. If you want to start with the big goal and then work your way backwards to the monthly goal, great. Whatever's going to make you feel more confident and more inspired. I'm actually going to combine steps 5 and 6, which are save for something and save for nothing. I really think that there are 2 types of savings. Saving for something. So for example, you want to buy a new camera, you want to buy a new laptop, you want to go on a trip with your friends, you want to buy a new winter coat, you want to buy a pair of shoes, you want to buy something, whether that's a material item or an experience, you're saving up for something. Then there's saving for nothing. To me, an emergency fund falls into that category because none of us sit around thinking of this emergency that's going to happen. So saving for an unknown event like an emergency, That's kind of saving for nothing. And it's a lot less fun and a lot less inspiring than saving for something. There's a trip you really want to go on with your bestie or your partner. That is exciting. You're motivated to save up for that trip. Oh, an emergency? Like, oh, okay, here's my $5. Being able to save for both something and for nothing is very, very important. Saving for the future. What future? Right? What does that mean? That falls into saving for nothing. And how you're gonna motivate yourself to save for nothing is through savings goals and savings challenges. So when I first started getting into budgeting and I was like, okay, I gotta pay off my debt. I wanna start growing my savings. I wanna start investing. What do I do? A lot of the basic advice will be an emergency fund, an emergency fund, an emergency fund. I had no motivation to save up for an emergency fund because it sounded really boring. The way that I got myself motivated to save for my emergency fund is setting a goal amount and then actually feeling hungry to reach that goal amount. I started to look at it as a bit of a game. I started to track it and to watch my savings grow. There were times when it came down. There was a time when I lost my job and I had rent to pay and I would take from my emergency fund. But thank God it was there. These things do happen, and I promise you guys, those saving for nothing type of saving situations, your car breaks down, you lose your job, you have to go to the hospital, you need time off work, whatever it may be, you will genuinely sleep better at night and you will feel so glad that you started saving for the future, for an emergency. Trust me on that one. But I completely understand that it can be hard to get motivated. So what I love to do is a savings challenge. This applies for saving for something and for saving for nothing. It's basically to turn your goal into a little bit of a game. So, okay, I wanna save $500 in the next 3 months. You kind of break that down and maybe you break it into $100 milestones. So, okay, I wanna save $500. That's 5 times $100. Every time I do $100, I'm gonna feel so proud of myself. I love to do this on Excel and I will like color in the cells. So I'll put like an example up on the screen, but it'll just be like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. And every time I fill it up, like, you know, those fundraiser like thermometers, I kind of make one of those on Excel. It just kind of gamifies your savings. It makes it so much more fun and it really does make it motivating. The last thing I'm gonna say on these 2 types of saving categories is I really want you to strike a balance between both. Like I said, it's way more motivating to save for things and for trips and for fun experiences and really just for things you want. But the other side is also very important. So see if you can kind of have both going at the same time. That's where having multiple accounts is really nice. If you're super motivated to save for your girl's trip to Ibiza, what if you matched every dollar that you put towards that trip? What if you matched it to your emergency fund? This is gonna help both types of savings grow at the same time. And this is genuinely how I think you live a balanced life and you develop a really nice and healthy relationship with money. We work hard, right? Our money isn't just meant to go into savings and we sit at home and eat our ramen noodles and our homemade matcha and we're miserable. Okay, I'm not miserable with my homemade matcha, but you know what I mean. We work hard so that we can enjoy our money, but I really think that part of enjoying life is taking care of your future, taking care of yourself. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it really can be a form of self-care. We only have 2 steps left, you guys. Step number 7 is actually quite tangible, and I don't want you to run away from this step. In order to save more money, you're going to have to start tracking your spending. I am talking tracking every dollar that you spend. And I know it sounds tedious, but going back to the gamification, this can actually be really, really fun. There's so many different ways to track your spending. There are apps that automate this for you. I think like Rocket Money is a really popular one. I've seen and heard a lot of like YouTube ads and stuff for that. I've never personally tried it because I actually prefer to do it all manually. I find when I manually input my expenses, every dollar that I spend, when I manually input it into a spreadsheet, it helps me stay more connected with my spending and helps me think twice when I'm shopping online at Aerie or I'm about to tap my credit card at Sephora or even at the grocery store. So whether you wanna go fully automated with an app or a program or you're gonna do it manually, it's really important to write down every single thing that you're spending on. This means opening up your credit card statement, opening up a spreadsheet. By the way, you guys, I highly recommend the budget tracker from The Line. This is what I've been using for the past 4 years. Absolutely life-changing. It's like a $25 investment in your personal finance journey. You will love it. I actually have a discount code Zoe10. If you're feeling inspired by this video, this is definitely like a Zoe approved purchase that will help you save money over time. If you're the type to spend cash, you wanna keep your receipts and input them at the end of the week or at the end of the month. If you've never tracked your spending before, you will be absolutely shook by all the little ways that money manages to escape from your account. We often spend way more than we think. Tracking your spending, I think, is key. I've been tracking my spending every single month, like I said, for 4 years. It takes very little time. I find it actually really enjoyable. I like to watch YouTube or TV or even just music, podcasts, whatever. I like to make it a nice moment for myself. I do it a few times a month when I'm kind of resetting my budget. I have a bajillion videos of me doing that actually on my channel. Why I want you tracking your spending is then to be able to do an analysis, and you'll see all of the places that you're spending money and how much it adds up to that you don't really need. You're also gonna see where you're spending money that you do need to. So on things like rent and groceries and insurance. This, paired with all of the previous steps, is what's really going to allow you to take your personal finances to the next level, help you save more money, and make better decisions with your hard-earned money. Oh my gosh, you guys, we've made it to the last step, which is very, very simple. It's that I want you to know that it's never too late. If you're watching this video and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm 50 years old, I've never done any of these things, I'm so far behind. No, you're not. The worst thing we can do when it comes to our personal finances is compare ourselves to others and tell ourselves, well, I'm already too far gone, I'm not even gonna try. It is never too late to try. That being said, the sooner you start, the better, but we can't go back in time, so the soonest that you can start is today. I want you to feel inspired from this video. I want you to know that it is absolutely possible for you, the person watching. You can do it. No matter where you've been at before, no matter how old you are, no matter how much money you make, you can grow your savings, you can take care of your finances, and you will feel so much better off for it, I promise you. It's never too late. Get started today. You've got all of my best tips. If I had to throw a bonus tip in, I can't believe I didn't even think of this. Spend with cash. Use cash budgeting. That is bonus tip number 9. I'll link my cash envelopes video, okay? Check it out. I'm cutting myself off. These are all my tips. I hope you loved this video. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to let me know your savings goal in the comments, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. I really just had to cut myself off there. Okay, goodbye.